During Sega's console years, there were already so many compilations released up to that point. The Phantasy Star Collection, Sega Classics Arcade Collection, Sega Ages, and Sonic Jam to name a few. But after Sega shifted their focus to software, there was an opportunity to bring some of their most beloved titles onto more popular systems. Sonic the Hedgehog was their biggest name, and wanted to remind another generation of gamers of just how much of an icon he was in the early to mid-90s. According to Sonic and Phantasy Star designer Yujiro Ogawa, the primary goal with Sonic Gems Collection and Sonic Mega Collection was to create an opportunity for children that have not had the chance to experience the original Sonic titles. The Sonic Mega Collection was released for the Nintendo GameCube on November 2002, and an updated version, Sonic Mega Collection Plus, was released for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox 2 years later. It contains the first 4 Sonic the Hedgehog games from the main series, Sonic Spinball, 3D Blast, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine aka Puyo Puyo, and if you have the Plus edition, there are 6 more games that were released for the Game Gear. You're already off to a good start. However, if you play these games a certain number of times, you will unlock the extra Mega Drive titles including Flicky, Ristar, Comix Zone, The Ooze, and the lock-on technology combinations Blue Sphere, Knuckles in Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 in Knuckles. For example, to unlock Flicky, you need to play Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine 30 times. And yes, you can literally select a game and go back to the menu the moment you witness the Sega logo, which is pretty stupid because it takes over an hour to unlock games that way, and I think beating them would have been a better task. It would take more effort, but it gives more of a reason to play these games. I mean, isn't that the point? You have a save feature which makes it easier, so I don't see why not. This is very handy for titles like Comix Zone and The Ooze because these are very hard games and have no continues. But what I don't understand is that each save file has its own space on a memory card, and the size of a file is about as big as a regular PlayStation 2 game. In fact, a Game Gear save file is nearly 3 times bigger than a Gran Turismo 3 save file, which defies description. I have mixed feelings about the emulation. While the video quality is really good, the first Sonic game in particular has the parallel side-scroll in the Japanese release guide, but as you can tell from the lowered sound pitch, the gameplay speed is so much slower. I assume it has to do with regional differences. PAL are known for having inferior frame rates compared to NTSC, and that's another story. The reason I mention it in this review is because after becoming used to the Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, where the process speed is what you expect from a North American Sega Genesis, I found the slight decrease in speed blatantly obvious, and for games that rely on fast movement, it's just painful to play through, really. But the worst offender has to be the Ooze. For starters, the first level has a coal surface when it should be dirt, and when I got to level 3, it crashed. No, it wasn't poor disc quality, this was in-game on a compilation. Looks like my save file trick won't help me this time. The Ooze isn't even that good anyway. These issues aren't as noticeable in the Game Gear titles. Okay, a bit of slowdown happens occasionally. Why a PlayStation 2 emulating a handheld title would do that is beyond me. I would have preferred the Game Gear titles to be the Master System ports whenever possible, like the first Sonic game in Chaos for example, which provides a larger screen and faster frame rate. But for portable Sonic games made in the early to mid 90s, they're not bad overall. They're more of a novelty and for curiosity's sake, like I don't expect people to beat every single one. Good for you if you do. Despite the rough emulation, particularly in the PAL region, it's still a respectable collection of video games. I would have been satisfied with having the first 4 Sonic the Hedgehog titles, but Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Comix Zone, and Ristar are a great welcome. That being said, I can somewhat understand the GameCube version only having 12 games, but the Plus edition, I think there could have been more games added on here when putting disc size into consideration. The Sega Mega Drive collection for the PlayStation 2 and Portable, for example, has 33 games. So what have they done to make up for it? Compilations always need more than just a collection of games. Well, there are comic book covers, behind the scenes of Sonic Heroes cutscenes, and random illustrations and concept art, mostly based off ones of Sonic the Hedgehog in the early 2000s, but these could come in handy for a future review. You even get manuals of each game currently unlocked. Insert Sega cartridge, getting started, spin through space, loop till you're dizzy, save the animals and become the superhero. Be Sonic, be atomic. I couldn't have imagined just how idiot-proof they are. If I reviewed this compilation back in 2004, it would be a recommendation without any questions asked. The Sonic Mega Collection has 12 games, with most of them being good, 7 additional ones for the Plus update, being able to play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in its entirety, double-digit gameplay time, extra features, and a low price tag even when it was new. But today, there are better compilations from Sega, like the Mega Drive Ultimate Collection for example. Yes, I know it doesn't include the lock-on games, but if that's what you want, get it off Steam for a few bucks. And as for hardcore Sonic fans, they're very likely to have physical copies of each game anyway. The best way to describe the Sonic Mega Collection is outdated, but not in an unplayable way. This is a solid compilation worth picking up, but not if you already have something similar.